Hello and welcome to this December 22 news update. I thought I would do something a little bit different this time and take you behind the scenes, if you want, for a look back at my growth over the last year. So it's going to be a bit of a different vibe. It's going to be a bit more relaxed, perhaps a little bit longer as well. So we'll see how it all goes. So this year, my aim was to reimagine my craft. As many of you know, I've been doing some coaching and mentoring and guiding for the last 20 years in one way or another. But I wanted this year to reshape that. I felt that whatever I had done in the past was not what I wanted to do, or more to the point, wasn't working in the way I wanted it to work going forward. And I needed to have the right support, the right guidance. Yes, coaches and mentors also need coaches and mentors to help them. And I needed to give myself time to reimagine what my craft could be. So what did that look like? Looking back, there were several movements in this year, if you want. First, I needed to redefine who I was and what I was doing. That seems a bit curious after so long of doing the work, but I needed to define things in a different manner. And I have settled on the notion of authenticity guidance. It doesn't roll off the tongue, and if I'm honest with you, I can see that there probably is a more clever way to present it from a marketing point of view. But it does resonate with me, and that's important. So first of all, why do I see myself as a guide? And that was an interesting journey, because I could call myself a mentor, I could call myself a coach. But that didn't sit. The word coach in particular, I have my own aversion to. That doesn't sit right. That speaks to me of telling you how to do things, and to me that's not what this journey of growth and healing to become yourself is ever about. So the term of coach didn't work. The term of mentor I find a little bit lame. So I really feel that the term of guide works really well for what I do. It is about going on the journey. It's a bit like mountain guides, if you want. It's a guide knows the mountain. They know its pitfalls, they know its dangers, they know its beauty, they know all of that. But every time a mountain guide takes someone up a mountain, the mountain is different, the client is different, the circumstances are different. So you bring to the journey your skill, your wisdom, your knowledge, your insight as a guide, but you also recognize with humility that every journey is different. And that really resonates with me. So calling myself a guide was an important point. The element then about what it is that I guide you guys about was also quite an interesting one to define. So it is about authenticity. Everything I live and breathe is, for myself and for others, is that you be who you're meant to be. You choose your path. You are an agent in what you do in life. You embrace the fullness of who you are. You recognize your shadows. You integrate your past. You heal your traumas. You really bring together all that makes you to live it out in the most authentic way that you can possibly do it at this point of the journey, bearing in mind that it is a recurring endeavor, and we're all in motion, and we're all continuously growing and healing. But this keyword of authenticity is really what resonates with me, so I decided to stick with that. And that's interesting because I couldn't really articulate it before. I wrote a blog post, I'll put a link to it somewhere, about that journey of understanding what it was that I was doing. As I said, in marketing terms, I appreciate that it still might not be exactly the right word, but for now, it resonates with me. It seems congruent to me, and therefore it's aligned with where I want to go next. So that was that first phase, was to verbalize exactly what I was doing. Then there was the next movement that was about understanding how I wanted that to be packaged for you guys. How do I present it? What kind of containers do I offer for us to do this work together? And that was an interesting one because I did not see how it would end up looking until I got there. And that was only a matter of a couple of weeks ago. So I knew that I wanted to create offerings that were sustainable for me and meaningful and useful to you. And there was this importance of making sure that that was a balanced, energetic context and framework in whatever I was doing. So I knew that much. I knew that I wanted to have a long-term container, and I needed to define that, so that was okay because I had some clear ideas from previous experiences of the length and the type of containers, so that was okay. And then I still wanted to have the opportunities for you to have single sessions if you wanted to, so that became what you now know as the Fresh Identity seasonal container that runs 3 times a year, and then the reset sessions, which are one-off and you can book whenever you feel the need. And then alongside that, there was that real burning desire to create that course on journaling your way. And much as, okay, creating courses is not a bad idea because you then have a product out there and all the rest of it, that wasn't the reason. I really felt that there was a need to put that thing out there, even though I couldn't really see how it was hanging. I mean, let's be honest, journaling is not something that I necessarily promote all that much. I don't really post all that much about it, and I couldn't really see why it wanted to be birthed. But that's one of the ways that I work, which is there is the very structured approach, the very step by step, the very systematic approach. But I also work very intuitively. And I listen to what is in what I call the whole, so you can call it the cosmos, the universe, whatever, that needs to be said or brought to being. And that course on journaling your way was like that. It was telling me it needed to be out there, and I didn't really see why. But I just went through the process and created the course, and that's the Journaling Your Way course that you now know. And then I had these 3 things: Fresh Identity, Reset, and Journaling Your Way. And it's only then that I realized why it made sense. Because I realized that what I had now in front of me was 3 levels of support for you guys. It was a very clear way to say, do you want to do the journey fully accompanied, lightly accompanied, or just supported with some tools and methods? And that's what now is becoming clear. So I see that this offering evolved and created itself, even though I couldn't quite see where it was going. So now, if you want to go on this authenticity journey with my support, you have the opportunity to do it with a 3 months support that is really structured, really followed through. We meet every fortnight. You have opportunities to share your journal with me in between. So in effect, you've got weekly support from me. And that's one big level of support. And that's necessary for when you're going through something that is particularly difficult to crack, or something where you need that kind of sustained guidance and support from me. Then there is the times where you are just living your best life, and now and again you need to recenter, you need to recalibrate, you need to just have a touch base, you need somebody to kick your butt maybe, or tell you that you're off piste, or whatever it might be, but it's very topical. And that's what Reset is about. And for a time I was considering not having that offering, and in fact I feel that it sits really well because it gives you this opportunity to touch base just when you need it, but the rest of the time you have great agencies, and most of you guys have got really strong agency in your life, so you don't need regular support all of the time. You just need a touch base when you need it, and that's what it is. And Journaling Your Way now is there as the tools to create a support mechanism for your growth and healing journey when you don't want necessarily to have direct support. But you still need somebody to give you the right tools and the right methodology from the outset. If we go back to this mountaineer guide analogy, it would be you deciding that you want to go up this mountain on your own because you're skilled enough that you can do that, but you still go via the store where the mountain guide is going to give you the right ropes, the right kit, the right picks, whatever it is, to go there. And essentially journaling your way is that. It's an opportunity for you to devise journaling mechanisms that really will support whatever endeavor you're going into, whatever growth or healing intention you have, and also will honor your ways of expressing yourself so that it feels like a really supporting tool as opposed to a chore or a bolt-on or a side-on to whatever you're trying to do. But it was interesting to me that I didn't see it develop like that at all. I couldn't see that there were 3 levels of support that were needed. I couldn't see how it was hanging together. I was going to go completely away from one of sessions. I was going to go away. I wasn't going to create a course at all, actually, earlier in the year. And it just happened. And I want to encourage you to hold loosely onto your intentions and objectives if you're looking at yearly intentions for yourself, for example. My intention was to reinvent my craft. That was where I wanted to go, but I had to allow things to come to fruition the way they wanted to. And it's a very balanced approach to be had between being very intentional on some elements. What do I want? I want to reframe my work. I want, I could use very strong terms like that. I want to pivot. I want to redefine, all those very strong words. Or I can just say I want to really reinvent my craft and let it come to the surface as it wants to. And now that I can see that, looking back, it feels very healthy. It feels very congruent. That being said, I experienced something quite interesting about 2-3 weeks ago. I became very despondent with it all. And you could think, well, why is that? Because actually it makes a lot of sense and it is logical and it is coherent and it sits right. So it's not just a head agreement, it also feels right in my gut. So why was I so down about it? It took me a while to figure it out. Part of it, I will say, is because it's the season. I don't function very well in December, January, and I always need to give myself some leeway for that. I need to do things more slowly. I need to allow more negative slant on things to just come to the surface so that we can embrace it and let them show up and then move from there. So that's one thing. It's part of my seasonal rhythm and how my emotions flow differently in the winter to the summer. But that being said, there was something else in there. And part of it was completely didn't have its place. It was me saying, well, whoopee-doo, you spent a year, you thought that you were going to have something that was radically different about your business, and in fact it's pretty much more of the same. And I had to sit with that and think, well, just because it is evolution and not revolution doesn't mean that is extremely meaningful. And it has been. But there was a part of me that was kicking up at that and saying, well, I was hoping for something, much bigger, much more obvious and much more defined and so on. And no, it's not what this particular year has been about. It's not that what this phase of reinventing my craft is about. Whether I like it or not, whether I wanted it to be that way or not, it's irrelevant. It is just, again, unfolding in its own right. It has its own life, and it is actually deciding to evolve in that particular fashion. So now that I've gone back from that phase of feeling a bit down about it, I realize that in fact it's precisely how it should be. There is no need for everything to always be an explosion, a fight, a destruction of the old for the new to be built. Sometimes it does, and I have to say in my life there have been many times where I've had phases of complete revolution. But this wasn't one of them. It just needed the soul searching, the deep looking, the allowing to unfold for what was in front of me, but also in me, in how it sat, how it felt. And that is a much more gentle phase of development. Nothing is the same all the time. Just because I am very driven energetically, just because I can quite happily take risk, I can quite happily deconstruct everything that I have around me to start completely afresh. That doesn't mean it's like that all the time. You may find that in your own growth, that every growth story has a different dynamics, it has a different energy, it has a different mood, and that's okay. This year is a slow year. The other thing that was making me slightly despondent, though, was the idea of, so what? You have now created a structure, whoopee-doo. So there's structure, but there is no meat in it. Now, that's one I want to address because it's a very interesting one in my line of work when we talk about personal development, where we talk particularly of working intuitively, working energetically, working in connection with the collective and the cosmos. All of these things give a vibe sometimes that it is all hairy-fairy and that structure doesn't have its place. I utterly disagree with that. I think that the whole point is that for intuition to be flowing healthily, it needs to know that it is contained and safe. To make it very simplistic, it is about the masculine, the yang framework being there to support with absolute assurance the feminine, the yin energy that flow intuitively. Now, we can talk about a whole load of modalities, but taking the human design one for a minute, in human design, both my gates 1 and 2, the yang and the yin, the most masculine and the most feminine gates are defined rather. And I absolutely see in me that I work with both. I work extremely intuitively, but I also need and value structure. So this year has been about creating that landscape, creating that framework, having these offerings I've just defined to you, so that then next year I can put out there some much more intuitive, of the moment, flowing offerings for you guys. And that feels right. It feels like really this year was about getting that soul searching done for the structure to be in place, so that next year I can go into feeding in the intuitive messages that I want to. Now, that's where I want to tell you a little bit about what is in the offing for next year, with a caveat and with an explanation as a preamble. In December, I look back. I take my time. My year goes from the winter solstice. That's where my turning point is. I like to be aligned to the seasons, so my year is not it doesn't end at Christmas, it doesn't end at New Year's Eve. The winter solstice is my key point. Doesn't make that much of a difference in practice. It's only a couple of weeks, and it's only a week or so out. But what that means is that December is my ramp down and January is my ramp up, and it's energetically I feel that very strongly. So what I just told you about, what I shared with you, this journey behind the scenes of my reflection on last year, is very much of the moment now in December. What is unfolding for the new year, I am going to share now with you, but I am very aware that it is not ripe. So it's me again sharing my process with you, but to say I need to go past the end of this year. I know that I need to continue unpacking the looking back before I completely form what comes into 2023. Obviously, it's not completely linear, we understand that, but in terms of the dynamics, I hope that you see where I'm coming from. That being said, I do want to share with you what I think is in the offing for next year. So, as I said, we've talked about the structure. I'm very happy with it, all being said and done. about these 3 levels of support that you can have from me. You can have what works from you, from very light support to very intense. Brilliant, happy with that. But what I want to do now that that is in place is have an opportunity to share with you what I sense needs to be said from the cosmos, from the collective. And I'm eagerly desiring to have that space now. Aside of the work I do with you in sessions, in one-to-one, I want this opportunity, this forum, to be able to share what I feel is out there and is relevant. So, working title for this thing, and again, everything will flow, but it's an exploration circle. And what it will be made of is probably going to be 60 to 90-minute sessions with a particular theme. There will be one-off, there will be on Zoom. You don't have to book for a whole set of sessions. It's just a question of whether you're interested in that particular theme on that particular day. And they will run probably, I would say, every 5 weeks. Say there will be 10 in the year, something like that. Again, detail to be confirmed. So what are they made of? What is it about? Well, it's me sharing with you particular themes that I've been brewing over this year, kind of in the background, and I've been collating as they kind of came to the surface, and then to give you my view, my standpoint on that, my particular outlook, and then for us to discuss and for you to ask questions and for us to see how we flow with that theme. Example, because I know that will be the first one. The first session of these exploration circle sessions will be about get out of your head. Now, if that speaks to you, you will know straight away, just that word, you will know. And that's exactly the energy that I want in this new circle. Get out of your head will be for everybody who feels that when they are going through their growth and healing journey, they're cut off at the neck. Everything is intellectualized and it doesn't tap into the body wisdom, it doesn't tap into the sensation, it doesn't tap into the emotional realm. It's just a head intellectual knowledge. And that, I know, is something that many people experience. And I want to talk to you about why that is, where it's coming from, how you can go past that, kind of tools that are available, or mechanisms or principles that need to be applied to go beyond that. Because at some point, just being in your head is going to stop your growth journey. You will have to tap into other elements of your being to have a fully holistic growth. So there you go. That's theme number 1, and how you will have responded to me saying that will tell you right away, oh, this session is for me. Yes, when do I sign up? When do I find out about that? Or it's a case of, okay, yeah, I can see that it's an issue, but not for me. And that's precisely what I want. I want these sessions to be exactly that. I'm going to let you know about them, let you know what the themes are. Follow me on social media, particularly on Instagram is where I'm going to have my main presence with that. And then just go and book your slot for that particular session. So I'm really excited to bring those to you. Another point of practicality, again, I'm throwing stuff at you because I want to give you that more kind of lively update, if you want, at this time of the year. I will be running them probably in the morning, sometimes in the morning, sometimes in the evening UK time, so that allows our friends in the US and in Down Under to join us in one or the other. The recording of the sessions will be available to whoever books. So if you can't make that particular time, so long as you are booked in, you will receive the recording, so that's all fine. But whenever possible, the whole point is for you to be in the space. And that's something I want to also mention about this exploration circle, is that because I am bringing it intuitively, I really feel the importance of honoring the group that is there on that particular day, at that particular time, in this particular space. There is something that speaks to me at the moment about it, about honoring that group of people. I feel that those messages will just land with whomever they're meant to. From a marketing point of view, people might tell me that it's a bonkers model. It doesn't bother me. I am very comfortable with knowing that that needs to be the energy of that container. That needs to be me bringing to you what I feel needs to be brought, and to trust that the right people will hear that. And this is why I'm not intending at this point to make any of the recordings available for other purposes. I might use the contents later, I might recycle it, I might do other things, but that's not for now. It doesn't feel like it's the right thing. At this point, going into the next year with these exploration circle sessions, it is about the people who are in that particular container in that particular time, and that I feel is extremely important to the energy of that container. More to come about that in January. I might run that first one in January to see how it goes and to iron out a few niggles or a few practicalities. If you are interested in it, even though there is nothing available at the moment about it, put a message, a comment or something, drop me a line somehow to let me know if that's this particular subject of getting out of your head for your growth and healing is something that is of interest to you, and more generally how you feel about this format and this very relaxed format, and really a pay as you go method in terms of you really coming where the theme speaks to you strongly, as opposed to being stuck in a particular long-term program. So that's me. That's what is happening at the moment. We're finishing Fresh Identity, and then I'm kind of stopping until January. As I've mentioned already, I need a lot of time in the winter. I need to honor my needs with that, and that's why I don't do so much in December and January. So you might see a bit less from me on social media at that time. I'm not disappearing, I'm just hibernating, that's all. And then mid-January or so, we will be talking about what's happening with these new exploration circles. I will then come back to you with the update about the Fresh Identity cycle for the spring, so starting in the beginning of February to the beginning of May, and we'll get back into the new year. That is it for this December update from me. It leaves me to wish you the best celebrations, whatever that looks like for you, of winter solstice or summer solstice if you are down under. Christmas, New Year, you have a wonderful time over the holiday or any other celebration that you're engaging into. Have fun, enjoy, restore, regroup, see your loved ones, take time for yourself, and I shall see you in the new year. Bye for now.